Series, it's called Ikarei Emunah, the principle, the foundation of the faith, which I find that many people have very, very big problems with understanding the principles. And that's why it caused so many confusion everywhere. So this series is sponsored Leilui Nishmat Mazal Bat Ksia Pinchasov, Alea Shalom. Also, I want this lecture to be Leilui Nishmat Avraham ben Ephraim Zubli, and Leilui Nishmat Gedalia ben Yaakov Alevi, and Nezivug Agun LeMordechai ben Lori, and also LeDaniel ben Ilana, and the Refuat Chaim Alexander ben Frida Milka, and the Refuah Shlema of Rivka Bat Yafa, and Yoel Yaakov Israel ben Avraham Avinu. After we cover the names, we can start, Baruch Hashem. Most of what we know of the 13 principle of Judaism, 13 עיקרים של היהדות, comes mainly from the Rambam. The Rambam actually collected all the information for us, concentrate everything to 13 major principles. Of course, there's other principles. If you learn Torah, it's much more than 13, but the 13 are crucial. What does it mean, crucial? If a non-Jew comes and he wants to join the Jewish nation, wants to convert to Judaism, the first thing you ask them is, what are the 13 principles of Judaism? After they announce the entire 13 principles of Judaism, one by one, they have to know everything by heart. They also have to believe in it 100%. If they say that they believe in 12 out of the 13, you cannot convert them. Why? It's like building a building. The architect, the engineer, when he wrote the blueprint, he decided that the building has to stand on 13 poles. If you remove one pole out, the entire building will collapse. Just a matter of time. That's serious negligence. Same thing over here. If they say, I believe in 12, but one I don't believe. For instance, I don't believe in reward and punishment. You're not allowed to convert them. I don't believe the Mashiach would ever come. You're not allowed to convert them. I don't believe there's going to be such thing, resurrection of the dead. You're not allowed to convert them. I don't believe that Moses is the greatest prophet ever lived. You're not allowed to convert them. I don't believe there's only one God. Maybe there are others. You're not allowed to convert them. There will be an illegal conversion. They may come and say, the goy, wait a minute, I have a Jewish friend. He has a very nice beard and a sombrero. He also doesn't believe in reward and punishment. He said that we don't know. There's no such thing, punishment by Hashem. He's also an infidel. Doesn't matter that he has a nice beard and tzitzit and he goes to a shul. There are many, many infidels, many heretic Jews. Some of them Bachurei Yeshivot. Bachurei Yeshivot. Their ideology is so corrupted that you cannot call them Jews. If you check their knowledge and their beliefs, now forget about it, you cannot call them religious. You cannot call them Jews. They don't follow the main principle of Judaism. One of the best examples of our days is the followers of Santa Claus. He's very popular. He has thousands of followers who admire him, invite him to events. He's the biggest heretic in the whole world. No one is more heretic than him. Person who declared a war against God, wrote a book to start a war against Hashem and all his principles in the Torah. The more terrible, bad things he does, the more followers he has. Why is it? Because the Satan is interested that people would lose their Olam Haba. Someone follows such a Rasha, immediately he loses Olam Haba. It's no joke. If someone follows Shabtai Tzvi, you have a very big, serious problem. If someone follows Yeshayahu Levovich, Shem Reshaim Yirkav, he loses Olam Haba. Anyone who follows a reform, what they call themselves rabbi, I don't know how they have the nerve to call themselves rabbi when they don't keep one mitzvah. Rabbi have to keep mitzvot. You know, rabbi that doesn't keep one mitzvah? One. And they still call themselves rabbi, or a woman call herself rabbi. If you follow such a leader, obviously you cannot call him a kosher Jew. So when it comes to reform, or all these goyim, or Shabtai Tzvi that converted to Islam bichlal in the end, obviously you know these people are fools. The problem begins when they follow someone that has a beard and a black hat and it looks very orthodox. That's when the venom goes smoothly into the souls of the listeners and destroys their soul. You don't know, you don't understand how dangerous it is to listen to some of those horrible heretics people in my blacklist. It's enough you listen to them 5 minutes and it destroys your soul. 5 minutes. You can't look at their face. You're not allowed to look at them, even in a picture. Someone show you, a picture or a flyer, you're not allowed to look. You have to delete it immediately. Can't look in their face. These are people who took the Torah, the pure 100% truth Torah of God, and turned it into mockery. Destroy it. Destroy the principles. Destroys everything that are written over there. So when people like this do it, they're simply very wicked. Very wicked people. They want popularity. They try to be special. I don't know why they're doing it. Maybe they are the souls of the Erev Rav, some demons behind what they do. Okay. The problem, I feel bad for the ignorant people. It's a lot of ignorant people, don't know any Torah, nothing. Some of them Baalei Tshuva. They get hunted by these evil, malicious speakers, and their soul is destroyed. Sometimes people say, yeah, but he said about this, that's true. He spoke about that, that's true. This was very inspiring. This one 100%, you also say it. I don't understand. In order for someone to hunt and destroy your soul, it cannot be 100% false. If everything he said would be false, no one would listen. Even the dumbest people will realize something is off here. So the Satan arranged that they will speak 70-80% the truth, and the 20-30% that they push with their nonsense and the terrible ideology, that's what destroys the people. For instance, he can talk to you a whole thing about the parasha, read to you Rashi, say to you what the Rambam say, can name all kinds of rabbis, and in the end, 5 sentences in his entire speech destroys your soul. Make you feel there is no such thing punishment. You leave the lecture and you say, you know what? It's all bad luck. It's not really the hand of Hashem. Why did I have an accident? It's not my sins. I'm not responsible for that. This is what Hashem wanted. We don't know why. That's enough. Once you begin to think like that, you're a heretic. Cannot count you in a minyan. That's why it's so important to do this series. I don't know how many lectures it's going to be. I don't know. We will see as we progress. I didn't even prepare it. I just grabbed a book and decided that we have to do it. Why? Because I see how naive people are. Mamash, this is like talking to the world because they don't have the principles. They don't have the foundation. We will teach. Most of what we teach comes from the Rambam. Why the Rambam? Because the Rambam, unanimously, is accepted by all kind of Jews. Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, Hasidim, Temanim. If you look at the Jewish nation today, you can divide them to 4 groups. Yemenites, Temanim, they have their tradition. You have Ashkenazim, Ashkenaz. And then you have Hasidim, which comes also from Ashkenaz, but they are different because they follow Kabbalah. And the Sfaradim, Sfarad. And then you have the 5th kind, which is secular Jews. Even they accepted the Rambam. They don't know a word of what the Rambam wrote, because if they would really read the words of the Rambam, they would burn his books, the Chilonim. The secular Jews, All you need is to show them 5, 6 things the Rambam spoke about them. Immediately they will burn his books and change all the schools in Israel that name after him to different name. And all the streets in Israel that are named after him, they will change immediately. And all the hospitals that are named Bet Cholim Rambam, immediately they change. Because the Rambam called the Chilonim 100% Goyim. He called them Mishumadim. You cannot count them as Jews. You cannot count them in a minyan. If they slaughter an animal, you're not allowed to eat. It's not kosher meat. He actually said in few places that they are worse than the Goyim. Do you think the Chilonim in Israel that admire the Rambam, if they would read that according to his books, they are considered worse than idol worshippers? Do you think they will continue to admire the Rambam? Why they admire the Rambam? Because they know he was a great doctor. That's it. For that, they admire him, but they don't know what he spoke about them. If they would know, believe me, it would be illegal in Israel to touch his books. They don't know. But surprisingly, even they accepted the Rambam. So, Rambam said, they give respect. So no one really argues against the Rambam. Everyone accepted him. No wonder he's the greatest posek in the last 1,000 years. More than 90% of the halachot in Shulchan Aruch is from the Rambam. More than 90%. How the Shulchan Aruch was written? Shulchan Aruch was written by a great legendary rabbi. His name was Rabbi Yosef Caro. He was a Sephardi rabbi that came from Spain in the time of the Spanish Inquisition and Portuguese, 500 years ago. He went to Eretz Israel. He settled in the city of Tzfat, all the way in the north by the border of Syria in Lebanon. He settled there in Tzfat, and in those years he wrote the Shulchan Aruch, the Jewish book of law. Of course, nothing over there comes from him. As just concluding hundreds of years of halachot that were all over the world, in Europe, in the Middle East. What did he do? Since there were hundreds of big rabbis before him, hundreds of Rishonim, there was no end to it. You got to take Rashi and all the Baalei Tosafot and the Ran and the Or Zarua, so many. It's never going to end. First of all, don't forget, there was no printing yet. That was the beginning of print. They started to print Shulchan Aruch after the Rabbi Yosef Caro. That was one of the first books they printed. It was manually very, very primitive. They used to take pieces of metal in the shape of a leather, dip it in the ink, put them in a line, and brings the whole tablet down. It was all crooked. It wasn't like today, everything's computer, print a book in less than a minute. The entire book. It was a different world. People didn't have books. So Rabbi Yosef Caro, barely with what he had, was able to write Shulchan Aruch. So obviously he's not going to gather hundreds of different books, of different ones. Remember, it was held by handwriting. So what did he do? He took the top 3. Well, the Torah said to follow that when there's this disagreement in halacha, you follow the majority. But the majority not in quantity. The majority in quality. There's no end. If you want to do majority in quantity, it's not realistic. You have to gather all the big rabbis in the world and start making a vote. What do you think? This is allowed or not allowed? 200 say not allowed, 500 say allowed. Okay, we write in Shulchan Aruch, it's allowed. It's not realistic. There's no telephone, no computers, no emails, no printing. Impossible to get all the information and to put everyone in one room. So what did he do? He took the top 3. The Rif, the Rav El-Fassi from Morocco, who lived almost 1,000 years ago. The Rambam, who lived almost 900 years ago. And the Rosh Rabbeinu Asher, 2 Sfaradim, 1 Ashkenazi. And he gathered all the psakim and he went 2 against 1. If it's all 3 ruled, allowed or not allowed, all 3 unanimously, no question. That's the halacha. If 2 say allowed, 1 say not allowed, follow the majority. If 2 say not allowed, 1 say allowed, follow the majority. With some exception to the rule. Usually he always went by the majority of the 3, which is top 3. Few times when the minority, he went with the minority because many other, dozens other would be like him. So he felt in this particular case we have to do an exception to the rule. But almost everywhere it's majority. That's it. Shulchan Aruch, once it was ruled, it was accepted in all the communities. The Ashkenazim, remember, they were following their tradition 500 years before the Shulchan Aruch was written. Now, the rabbi of the Shulchan Aruch is Sfaradi. His minagim, his customs are according to Edot HaMizrach, Sfaradim, people that came from Spain. But there were people in Germany, there were people in England, there were rabbi in France, Rashi and Baalei Tosafot, many big Chachamim in France. So they had their own tradition, different customs. So once the Shulchan Aruch was written, there was a very big Ashkenazi rabbi, Rabbi Moshe Isserlich. It's called the Rama. That's the abbreviation of his name, the Rama. He wrote on the Shulchan Aruch, on every provision, if the Ashkenazim have different customs, he wrote it. The Ashkenazim used to do like this. That's it. And the Ashkenazim follow those comments. Most of the places, it's the same halacha. Same. Sfaradim, Ashkenazim, same. Places the Ashkenazim used to do different. He just made a comment over there in the Shulchan Aruch. He lived very short life, 33 years. And already was a huge chacham, 33 years. People lived a short life in those days. All kinds of pandemic, there was no antibiotic, didn't have the vaccines of today. If something happened, there was a pandemic, you hear, you read in the books, a lot of big, great people died in a pandemic. It used to be a common thing, all these pandemics. And this is a little bit background when it comes to that. So most of the halachot in Shulchan Aruch, in the end, was aligned with the ruling of the Rambam. This is just to give you an example. Who was the Rambam? Rabbi Moshe ben Maimon. He had a son, was also a very big Chacham, Rabbi Avraham, also. His father was Maimon, also. So he comes, the Rambam was also a doctor of the king of Egypt, the Sultan. The Rambam used to take care of Arabs all day. He writes, today I didn't have time to eat my lunch. All day I was taking care of these Arabs, all these anti-Semite Nazis. He had to take care of them. While most of his time was taking care of these monsters, who I don't have to tell you how much they hate Jews. But when they need a doctor, they know very well to come only to Jews, the Arabs. They need a doctor when it comes to their life or the life of their children. They do everything they can to send the terrorists into Israel, that the Israeli will operate on their people. They don't count on their Arab doctors. All these Hamas monsters, include Sinwar, were cured by Israelis. If the stupid Israelis would not try to be too liberal and take care of these Nazis, maybe we wouldn't have October 7. The architect of October 7 is Yihya Sinwar, Imach Shimo. He was almost dead. Another week he would be dead. The Israeli saved his life with a brain operation. After they saved his life, he told them, thank you very much, but I'm going to do even better now to destroy all of you. This is their gratitude. The more you do for them, they look at it as a weakness. When you have a kosher person, when you do a favor to a kosher person, he appreciates. He has gratitude. Akarat HaTov. The Torah says someone who doesn't have Akarat HaTov is worse than a monster. Hashem cannot look at him. Kfui Tova, כתוב משיב רעה תחת טובה לא תמוש רעה מביתו. Someone that receive good and return bad in return, someone like that, Hashem can look at him. Bad will not come out of his home. And you can see a perfect example. They're willing to suffer hell on earth to see their house destroyed, their furniture destroyed, all their passports, documents, wedding pictures, all kinds of holiday pictures, everything destroyed with bombs from Israeli planes. They know it's coming. Just to kill one Jew on a bus stop. It's for them the whole world. Better than to win the lottery. You ask any one of them, what would you prefer? To murder one Jew, blow up his head, or to win the lottery $200 million? Almost all of them would say to kill a Jew. are willing to pay millions to kill one Jew. It's the proof. Look, Gaza is all destroyed now. They're not regretting what they did. If you ask them, let's go back to October 6th, would you do what you did, seeing what you did to your entire city? Absolutely, with no hesitation. No hesitation. They have one purpose, to be the demon and the Satan of the world. Just to torture people. First Jews, then Christians, and then others. They also torture their own people. But that's all they want, just to destroy the others. It doesn't matter what they pay. It doesn't matter how much they suffer. It doesn't matter they lose their children, they lose their wives, they lose their husbands, they're going to sit in jail 20, 30 years. It doesn't matter. As long as we kill one Jew, we're happy. That's why I always say that they're much worse than the Nazis. Because the Nazis, as much as they hate the Jews, they would not agree to lose one finger to kill a Jew. You come to any Nazi, tell them you can kill 1,000 Jews in the press of a button, but you're going to have to lose one finger. You're going to have 9 fingers from now on for the rest of your life. No Nazi would agree such thing. You're going to lose an arm. No one would agree. You come to them, lose a finger, I'm willing to lose myself and my 10 sons to kill one Jew. You're talking to me about finger? Me and my 10 sons will explode, all of us together, to kill one Jew. But no hesitation. You didn't have that by the Nazis or by any other enemy. I don't think in the history of the world you had such thing. And by the way, the King David, with one of his prophecies in Tehillim, in Psalms, he said that the last enemies we will have before the arrival of the Messiah will be like the bees. The bees. What does it mean, the bees? What's special about a bee? When a bee stings a person, what happened to the bee? It dies. The bee knows, I'm going to use my poison to attack someone, knowing I'm going to die. The bee stings, the bee dies, and it's still doing it. That's exactly David HaMelech 3,000 years ago was said the end of days, the enemies will be like bees. And they're willing to die just to kill you, or just to hurt you. The bee won't kill you. Most of the time, if you're not allergic, you won't die. You just suffer for a few hours. That's it. The bee is willing to die to make you suffer. And that's exactly how they are. And there's nothing you can do about it. An enemy is not afraid to die. There's not that much you can do. What are you going to do? Threaten them? They don't care. You destroy their home. They make a party. You knock down a building. They don't care. They're just happy. Happy. As long as we hurt the Jews, we're happy. This is the situation we live in. As sad as it is, it's a part of the plan. Once you know all of that was written, you have to be blind not to see the end of Hashem. So going back to our subject, so the Rambam was taking care of them. He writes, today I didn't have time to eat all day. All day I was taking care of these Arabs, the Ishmaelim. And after he was taking care of them day after day, night after night, he still became the greatest posek in the last 1,000 years. Imagine what a legend he was. Imagine if he didn't have to take care of these Arabs. He would sit and learn Torah non-stop, every day, all his life, like other Chachamim, like Rashi and Baalei Tosafot and other Rishonim. Imagine who he would be. Years he had to burn and taking care of these anti-Semite Nazis. Years of his life he had to take care of them. Why? Because if you won't do it, they'll kill him. Not that much you can do there. So just to give us an example of who is the Rambam is, for people to understand, when you say we base the series on the Rambam, it gives you a little preview on who the Rambam was. The Rambam writes, in the end of chapter 8, in Ilchot Melachim, the Rambam wrote few books. The most important one is Mishneh Torah, Hayad HaChazaka. Mishneh Torah. He wrote it, it took him 30 years to write it. He wrote it in Lashon HaKodesh. All his other books were written in Arabic. But when it came to halacha, the law, has to be precise. Exactly like it's written in the Talmud. If you would write it in a foreign language, it can be interpreted to different ways. He meant this way, he meant that way. Other books, wasn't as critical. because it's not allowed or not allowed. Here you're going to commit a sin. He had to write it in Lashon HaKodesh. While he was a servant of all these Arabs, he was able to write for 30 years the book Mishneh Torah. In the end of Mishneh Torah, the last chapter is Ilchot Melachim, the laws of the kings. It talks about days of Mashiach, what's going to happen in the end of days. Very interesting. In the end of chapter 8, this is what he writes, Halacha Yud, end of chapter 8, the 10th halacha in a chapter. Moshe Rabbeinu לא הנחיל התורה והמצוות אלא לישראל. Moshe Rabbeinu gave the Torah directly to whom? To the Jewish nation, no other nation. Other nations didn't come to participate in Ma'amad Har Sinai, in the acceptance of the Torah. As it's written, Morasha, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, Torah Moshe commanded us, Torah tziva lanu Moshe, Moshe commanded us the Torah. Morasha, what does it mean Morasha? Inheritance, Yerusha. Morasha Keilat Yaakov, to the community, the family of Jacob. Who is Jacob? Israel. Only the children of Jacob. Any Gentile that wants to convert from other nations, right, he would consider to be a ger. There are two kinds of gerim. You have ger tzedek and you have ger toshav. What's the difference between the terms? When you occupy Israel, there are goyim that lives there. All of them are from 7 cursed nations. The Torah says not to have mercy on them. The Torah says not to make peace with them, not to make agreements with them. They're all idol worshippers. God cannot look at them. They worship fake gods. There's nothing Hashem hates more than idol worshippers. Look at all the tsunamis, all the earthquakes, all the tragedies. What countries they hit the most? Thailand, Tibet, Nepal, Japan, China, places of a lot of idol worship. India, lots of disasters. There's a lot of disasters, natural disasters. Why? Idol worshipping. There are a few things that make Hashem very angry. Abomination, toeva, homosexuality, gay marriage, all kinds of parades, idol worshipping. It's all toeva. Nothing Hashem hates more than these things. Places like this receive a lot of tragedies. Look at what happened in Israel. Since they started to do these abomination parades, every year, here and there, all kinds of places, Israel is sinking more and more every year. We are now a lot worse than what we used to be 30 years ago. We should have been a lot greater today. We are basically half destroyed already. Another 2-3 months like that, the country is finished. Why we don't have siyata dishmaya? Because of this filth. They fill up the land with abomination, and the Gemara say that because of that, natural disaster come to the place. Natural disaster can be earthquake, can be floods, can be fire. And Israel had a lot of fires, if you follow the news. And it could be a war with lots of casualties. From all what we had, Hashem chose this option. One way or the other, it's a disaster. Whether it's an earthquake, whether it's massive fire, whether it's other things, it's all a disaster. Disaster, it's a disaster. So, the Rambam say there are two kinds of gerim. Ger tzedek and ger toshav. What's the difference? When you come to Israel and you occupy the land, you don't immediately kill the idol worshippers over there. You tell them, we give you an option to repent. Stop with your idols, destroy them. We will give you permission to stay here and to live here and to keep the 7 laws of Noah, which every Gentile in the world is obligated to keep. by the laws of God. Everybody must keep those 7 laws. Through this series, we will talk about them. If the Gentiles agree, destroy their idols, and say, that's it, we're going to keep the 7 laws and we'll be righteous Gentile, you give them residence. You're allowed to stay in the land of Israel. You're not allowed to break the laws of the Torah in public. You cannot break Shabbat on the street. You cannot make fire on the street. You cannot ride a horse on Shabbat. You cannot do things that Jews are not allowed to do on Shabbat and the streets. But you can do in your house whatever you want. You want to cook in your house, you go, you're allowed to cook. You want to eat not kosher, you eat not kosher. Whatever you do, as long as you're not an idol worshipper. Because idol worshipping is death penalty for Jews and for Gentiles. It's no difference. For both. Okay, no discrimination. Any idol worshipper is despicable in the eyes of God. Even if his father is a rabbi. Doesn't matter. Even if he keeps Shabbat. Even if he keeps all the laws of the Torah, but he believes his Rabbi is a God, like some Jews here. Bow down to the chair of the dead Rabbi, bow down to his grave, say he never die, he runs the world. He's a matchmaker to our children. He finds them soulmates. They are 100% idol worshippers. No difference between them and the Indian who bow down to the cow in India. Both of them are guilty with the crime of idol worshipping. Doesn't matter they have a beard and a black hat and tzitzit. It doesn't make any difference. Once you're an idol worshipper, you're an idol worshipper. And that's it. It's a death penalty. So it's interesting. You may have an Arab terrorist donating to the Hamas or to Hezbollah, support murders of children and women, and is not as guilty as someone with a beard and a tzitziot that is an idol worshipper. Meaning his punishment for supporting murder is lower than the punishment of a Jew with a yarmulke that is an idol worshipper. Who worship his dead rabbi. Most people don't have the guts to say it, but that's 100% the truth. I will not dare to say it unless I know 1,000,000% that that's the halakha. Unfortunately, this is the way we are in today. Some people worship dead rabbis. By the way, you know, Shabtai Tzvi made himself a cult over 200 years ago in the area of Turkey over there. When Shabtai Tzvi, in the end of his life, converted to Islam, his followers until today follow him, worshipping until today. 200 years after he became a goy completely, when he converted to Islam, there are still Shabtaim in the world. I cannot believe it. Meaning, Reshaim al pitcha shel gehenom enam shavim b'tshuva. You show them that their entire life was an error. They refuse to change. The ego, they can't go back. The Satan covered them completely from all direction with their horrible ego. They refuse to repent. Yeah, what happens to you? There's nothing you can do about it. That's why when people tell me, oh, you're not going to believe I went to this place, and they say this and they say that, I say, don't waste a minute talking to them. It's mamash a pure waste of time. It's a lost case. Don't waste time. Chaval. It's a false argument. Create hatred, create problems. I remember when Rabbi Shaulov came one time to New York, we met, he had a lecture in Brooklyn and I had a lecture. It was Tuesday night. We decided to get together after. And when we came out of the restaurant, it was late at night, 1 a.m. maybe. I saw him standing with a few guys on the street and starting to argue with them. They say what they say, he answered. He was not understanding yet the situation that we have here. I said to him, you're wasting your time. It's not going to end until tomorrow morning. It's a false argument. There's no point. No, how can it be? Look what they say. Can you believe what they just say? I said to him, you know what? I realize it's not going to end. I said to him, ask them one question. Who is greater, their rabbi or Moshe Rabbeinu? He looks at me. He said, מה? אתה נורמלי? You normal? I said, ask them. Come on. He said, נו, מה, באמת? I said, you don't believe me? Go and ask. Mizrachi, no, באמת? Come on, what are you saying? Why you argue? Go and ask. He asked them, tell me, with all due respect to your tzaddik rabbi, who's greater, him or Moshe Rabbeinu? Of course, our rabbi. You don't know who he was. That's the situation. And it's not one or two. We're talking tens of thousands of people here. So I want everyone to know, I say what I say. You want to believe, you believe. You don't want to believe, you ignore what I say. It's up to you. It's on you. But at least I know when I come in front of Hashem, He won't be able to tell me on this particular matter, you didn't do enough. Because I said it many times over the years. I got myself a lot of enemies for that. Many of them would like to see me dead. No problem, I take it to consideration. It's a part of the job. Many Muslims wants to see me dead when I speak about their false religion. Many gays wants to see me dead when I speak about their horrible abomination. Many Mechalelei Shabbat wants to see me dead when I speak about what's waiting for them in the next world, in Gehenom. So that's a part, you know how they say, that's the cost of doing business. In my particular case, that's the cost of speaking the truth of the Torah. You will always get yourself enemies. And if you don't, that means you're not a kosher speaker. If you don't have any enemies, meaning whatever you say everyone agree, you are for sure fake. If everyone hates you, you fake. If everyone love you, you fake. If some love you, some hate you, there is a chance you're real. No guarantee. But there is at least a chance you're real. Remember what I say again. Everyone hates you, you fake for sure. Everyone loves you, for sure you fake. Some love you, some hate you, there is a chance you're real. Now let's examine what you say and check if you're real or not. If everybody loves you, the Mechalelei Shabbat admire you, you're not doing the job, you're not rebuking anyone. You're not getting on their nerve. You're not telling them what's waiting for them. Of course they love you. Every day they would want someone to kiss up to them and tell them how great they are. Every murderer wanted the police to tell him what a great citizen he is. Right? Do you know how the murderers always blame the police? Corrupted cop, he set me up. I'm innocent, I'm not guilty. We know that. So there is an option we give to the converts. We tell them, you stop with your idol worshipping and you can stay to live in Israel. If they refuse, they have to leave. If they refuse to leave and they start a war, you start a war with them. But you always give them one direction, open to run. You don't surround them with 4 directions. You surround them from left and right and from the front. But the back, you always keep open. You don't make a complete ambush around. Why? You rather them running away from the land of Israel instead of staying there and contaminate the land like they did. It's all verses in the Torah. The Torah say that we have no permission to make peace with them, to tolerate their idol worshipping, not allowed to marry them, not allowed to have any mercy on them. And it's very interesting because there is a verse, do not dare to behave like them in any way. לא תלכו בחוקות הגויים אשר אנוכי משלח מפניכם כי את כל התועבות האל עשו הגויים האלה ועקוץ בם. I don't give you permission to look like them in anything. Whatever they do, you have to be different than them. In your haircut, in your clothing. You're not allowed to mix with them. You're not allowed to marry them. You're not allowed to tolerate anyone. You have to destroy their idols. You have to destroy the bottom of their idol. If the idol was standing on the sand, you have to dig it with the sand that was under it. Even the sand is contaminated. If they had stages that they put their idols on it, destroy that stage as well. It was a base to an idol. But you allow them to run away. Always let your enemy run away better than to run and kill him. Run from the land. You come out of the land, we close the border, goodbye. If they refuse and they stay to fight, you're not allowed to have any mercy on them. Lo techayeh, you're not allowed to keep them alive. No mercy on these idol worshippers. Remember, there's no discrimination. Jewish idol worshippers and Gentile idol worshippers, both of them are huge criminals in the eyes of God. So both of them has that penalty. It's not because you're non-Jew, Hashem is cruel to you. No. It's to his own children that worship an idol. The same thing, that penalty. Just like someone who doesn't keep Shabbat, also that penalty. Homosexuality, that penalty. There's a list of that penalties in the Torah. A murderer, any murderer is that penalty. It's against the 10 Commandments. There was Ger Toshav. You can stay here, you be a righteous Gentile, you don't fight the Jews, you do what you do in your home, it's your life. But in public, on Shabbat, you're not going to break Shabbat on the street. You have to respect the law of the land. Tov. Many of them goyim agree to stay. Not allowed to touch them. They have rights. There is a different kind of ger, it's called ger tzedek. When the Gentiles say, I don't want to stay a Gentile. I want to be a Jew. I want to convert to Judaism. After you test him for the 13th principle, and you know for sure that he accepted all of them with no hesitation, and you see for a while that he already keep the commandments, he knows how to keep Shabbat, if it's a woman, that she's dressed fully modest, and the language, what they speak about, their ideology, when they eat only kosher, they make brachot, they know how to make brachot, even in English, even in a different language. To be a Jew, you don't need to know Hebrew. Many goyim, when they approach me, they want to convert, first thing, do I have to learn Hebrew? No. There's a lot of religious American Jews who don't speak Hebrew. They don't. Whatever they read, they have translation to English. Some Farsi, translation to Farsi. Russian Siddur. I don't know Hebrew. You can be a righteous person learning in a different language. Of course, it's always better to know Hebrew. Not the modern Hebrew of Israel. That's completely crooked, the language. Talking the ancient Hebrew, the Lashon HaKodesh of Chazal, of the Torah. So, what we read in the Siddur, this is the language of Chazal. Before the state of Israel, that was formed by many wicked communist Zionists, anti-God, enemies of God. Every one of them is a monster. Hated Hashem, hated the religion, hated Shabbat, hated the rabbis, hated the religious people, cannot stand Bachurei Yeshivot. They're allergic to everything smelled Jewish. Allergic. They turn Israel to a state of goyim, public school that teach terrible things, all kinds of communist authors from Russia and Poland. As long as you don't bring us your religion to here. They didn't want religion at all. When the Yemenite came, they realized that they're very naive. They're very down to earth. They came from Yemen. They stood by them and cut their peot right away. After 3 weeks, they forced them to work on Shabbat. So if you want food for your children, you must come to the kibbutz and work in the farm. In agriculture, plants, trees, oranges, tomatoes, cucumbers, you have to work, give water to the plants. They broke them. They didn't have what to eat. They said to them, you need a red card, like in Russia, like Lenin. You need a red card in order for you to be a member of the union. It's called Istadrut. Communist, all communism. Kibbutzim, Moshavim, it's all made in Russia. And the Yemenites say, okay, I'm going to be a member of the union. What do I need to do? You have to come work on Shabbat. We'll tell you where to go. How can I be? I'm a religious Jew. Don't worry, the Mashiach came already. Don't you see you came to the Holy Land? They didn't want to work. 1 week, second week, third week, the children are starving. Water comes on their head. They put them in a ma'abarot. Nothing to eat. People told them it's pikuach nefesh. It's a life risk. You have to feed your children. Even the Torah says when your life is in a risk, you have to break Shabbat. So they made the grandparents mechalelei Shabbat. Their children were already complete chilonim. And the grandchildren today, not just chilonim, big haters of Hashem. It's a difference to be a regular chiloni, secular Jew, who respects the religion, just doesn't want to keep, or someone that is allergic to it, cannot stand Torah, cannot hear a word of Torah. That's what they turned them. 80% of the people in Israel are almost like that. Almost 80%. Almost 80%. You have 2 million religious people in Israel. And almost all the Chilonim today are big haters of Torah. Baruch Hashem, after October 7, you begin to hear many of them regret the things they used to say. I regret how I spoke against the rabbis and the religion and the Torah and against Judaism. They're opening up their eyes. They realize without Torah we have no existence. But until October 7, if you hear some of the things you would hear on the Israeli television and in the newspaper, you won't be sure if you live in Israel or in Nazi Germany. You won't believe it. If I'll show you parts from the newspaper and I ask you, tell me who said it, you would all answer Hitler, Reichmann, Hess. Has to be them. And no, it was published in the Israeli newspaper. These lefty liberal newspapers. A year ago, 6 months ago. It was in a public television, on the news. On the news. Here, if it would happen here in America, you know what a lawsuit you would have against the channel? If they would say things like this in CNN, you saw what happened in Harvard University. You know how many students are suing them now? They're going to make millions now, each student. Why? Racism against Judaism. In Israel, it's allowed. In Harvard, it's not allowed. In Yale, it's not allowed. It's racism. It's a lawsuit. It's a hate crime. But in Israel, it's legal. Why? Ministers in the government say it. People from the police speaks like this. Judges in the court speaks like this. What do you expect? The whole country is like this. The most anti-Semite country in the world is Israel. No place in the world you hate Jews more than they hate in Israel. Which Jews? Religious Jews. Religious Jews they hate. Secular Jews, no problem. No problem. But now things are starting to change now. On my last visit to Israel, I saw a lot of broken Chilonim. They are destroyed. They realize there's no more future to them. Their secular communist state reached the end of it. That's it. The army cannot save. The government is totally corrupted. Nobody can save them, not the police, nothing. They realize if we don't now turn to Hashem, we will all be dead in a year or two. We can't fight these monster Nazis. We can't. They're just not ending. You just killed today 500. Boom, another 50,000 waiting online. You killed another 1,000, another 200,000 waiting to shore. It can end. You killed 100 terrorists today. 5,000 were born. 5,000 were born. You killed another 1,000. 20,000 were born. What are you going to do? We're lucky that the Torah told us that when Mashiach comes, it will be their end. If not that, we would have to give up already and find alternative state. What keeps us going is just that Hashem promised us it will be very tough. We're going to have this fifth exile, the Galut Ishmael, until the Mashiach would come. Once the Mashiach would come, their end would come. And until then, they're going to teach us a lesson. They're coming to kill us and scream the name of Hashem. Screaming the name of Hashem when they're murdering us. One of my students is a Baal Tshuva from Atlanta. American Ashkenazi, nice guy, very smart. He's already in Israel, I don't know, 20 years he lives there almost, 15, 20 years. He told me he wants to give now a lecture about the situation with the Arabs and this. So he started to ask me about what they say in Islam and this. I told him it's not irrelevant what the Islam say. The Islam is not what makes their decisions. Before Islam, they already wanted to kill all Jews. It's nothing new. Islam is only 1,300 years old. Ishmael wanted to kill us already 3,000 years ago. 2,000 years ago already the Zohar speaks about their cruelty. That was 700 years before the Quran. When they keep saying, we don't hate Jews, we hate the Zionists. What do you mean? In Hebron, 20 years before the Israeli state, you already butchered Jews in Hebron. You killed more than 80 of them in one day. Slaughtered them. Like you slaughter sheep. There was no Zionist state. There was no state of Israel. You kill them because they are Jews. You kill Jews in Iraq. You kill Jews in every other Arab countries. What does it have to do with the Israeli state? We're talking 100 or 200 years before Israel became a state. It's all fake. Same thing in Iran. We don't hate Jews. We hate the Zionists. You hate the Zionists? Why you kill religious Jews? If you hate the Zionists, communists, okay. Why do you come? Almost everyone you kill is a religious Jew who live according to the Torah. So I told him, don't look for any justice or logic. They first decide what they want to do, and it's to kill Jews. And now they begin to twist everything around. Prophet Muhammad meant this, and he meant that. And if he would say in the Quran, you're not allowed to touch one Jew and ever make him drip one drop of blood, they will find a way to justify it. Just like religious Jews justify their sins. Don't you have gays with yarmulke on the head? In a gay parade? With yarmulke. Rainbow yarmulke. Me and my husband came to dance with the Torah. Asking, how can you live in such a conflict? We'll justify it. The thieves don't read Tehillim before they come to rob you? Don't they pray to God to help them to rob the store or to rob the bank? Well, when they pray, they don't pray that the police does not catch them when they come to steal. How do you justify stealing from people? First, I decide what my evilness wants to dictate for me. And then I twist all the truth to match what I want to do. Jews do it, Arabs do it, Allah worse. Every wicked person does it. By the wicked people is first what's good for me, then what's good for God. If what's good for me match what God likes, fantastic, I'm happy. I don't want deliberately to declare a war against him. But if what I like, it's against what he likes, he will have to understand me one way or the other. He's not going to dictate to me what's right and what's wrong. First, I follow my instinct and my logic and my desire. And if it works for him, fine. If not, he will have to live with that. Like Santa Claus say in his book, I didn't ask to come to the world. You have no right to tell me what to do. You have to apologize to me for putting me here. I don't have to apologize to you for doing what I want to do. That's what his whole book is about. And he's still invited to events around here. To shuls that consider themselves Orthodox, but that the reality is that they are worse than a church. Someone that is smart and knows the Jewish principle, hopefully after this series he will know very well. A place that invites Santa Claus, you're not allowed to step there ever again. Cannot pray there anymore. It's mamash like a church. Because in a church, they don't declare a war against Hashem. They're just a bunch of idol worshippers. They were educated that God has a son. That's how they taught from age 0. Not deliberately decided to modify the truth and declare a war against God. No. They just believe a fake God, the Son of God, that's it. Which is all false. But those people who, after they got warning from many people, sending them an email, all the horrible things that his filthy mouth says in his speeches, and they still did not cancel the event, just like the other one, heretic in Boca Raton, that wants to invite a Christian heretics, admirer of Hitler and a big fan of JC, a Christian missionary, to speak to his community. and people begged him to cancel the event. Rabbis wrote him letters. People even threatened him. He went with the head into the wall and paying him $30,000, $40,000 for that lousy speech. That he should have access to the Jewish people in a shul to convert them to his idol. No matter what, you show them the truth, you warn them. It's like talking to the wall. That's how they are, these idol worshippers. Mesitim la'avodah zara. You cannot step to a place like this. Sometimes it's innocent mistake. Innocent mistake. Someone doesn't know anything from his life, saw that he's popular, invited him. The question is, after he got the evidence of what he said with videos, with proofs, and still went with the event, a place like this is not kosher anymore. It's not kosher. Absolutely not kosher. If someone declares that he hates God and he wants to burn the Torah, you invite him to speak in a shul? If a rabbi of a shul invites someone that stands in his YouTube speeches and says, I hate God and I want to burn the Torah, like they did in Sweden, they wanted to burn the Torah. That person who declared that he's going to burn the Torah, if you invite him now to a shul in Great Neck, someone like that, can you step into that shul after that? If the rabbi of the shul invite the one who wanted to burn the Torah to be a guest of honor and to give a speech to the community, after you see something like this, can you go and pray in such a place? If you're stupid, go. I don't have to tell you where your prayers will go. Definitely not to Hashem. Definitely not to Hashem. You have to be very careful where you go. If you go to a shul that doesn't have heresy, just doesn't have a kosher mechitza. You see over here? You have a kosher mechitza. You close the curtain. No man can see women in the times of prayers. Kosher shul. Men separate, women separate. Here they don't bring heretics to speak. People come here, they walk. Shabbat, they shomer Shabbat. Kosher place. If the place wouldn't have kosher mechitza, you're not allowed to give speeches there. It's not a kosher place. You can't give a speech there. Would you give a speech in a church? Would you give a speech in a reform shul? Can you step into a reform shul? Not allowed to step. You want to go and do an event. Forget about it. You're an electrician. You want to get a job in a church. $100,000 contract to fix all the lighting and all that. You're not allowed to step there to give an offer. A mosque, you're allowed to go in. Or reform shul, you're not allowed to walk in. Mosque, you're allowed to walk in. It's not a place of idol worshipping. Church and reform shul, you cannot go in, you cannot walk in. Yesterday I had a question like this. A girl has a business. She asked me if she can go into a church to give an offer for a job. Not, absolutely not. What about if she sends a goy? Goy. You can go there and give them a job offer. If the goyim will do the job, the goyim will do the job. But the Jew is not allowed to do. He's not allowed to service a church in any way. The light doesn't work. You're not allowed to fix it. Why? You're contributing to their idol. You're helping their cause. You have a place, they want to rent it from you. You're not allowed to rent it to them. You're not allowed to rent it for them. Someone wants to make a kosher shul, you're allowed to rent it. They want to make a reform shul, you're not allowed to give them the property, even if they're offering you 10 times more. There are a lot of laws. If people won't learn Torah, how will they know what's allowed, what's not allowed? The problem is that some of these mistakes are crucial. That mamash makes the Jews lose his olam haba. No joke. Giving Santa a stage to speak to people, donating to his event, promoting it, giving the place, make you literally lose your olam haba. Guarantee. Mamash is like putting an idol inside Bet HaMikdash. Some tzelem ba'echal. It's terrible. People make fun. In Israel, they have an answer for those people. Remember the famous Israeli sentence? צוחק מי שצוחק אחרון. Doesn't matter who laughs in the meantime. It matters who would be laughing in the end. Those who laugh in the end would laugh for good. Those who laugh for now, today they laugh, tomorrow they cry. Question, in the end of the battle, who is gonna laugh? No one will remember 10 rounds of boxing match. People only remember who lifted his hands up and won in the end and took $30 million. That's it. Anyone will remember 5 years later who was better in a fight? The one who lost gave more punches, but in the end the other one gave him one punch to his head and knocked him down. That's all people remember. Right now they laugh, they make fun. Yeah, you're fanatic, you're extreme. We disagree. You're entitled to your opinion. They make fun. No problem. Hashem already said, Hineni nishpat otach al omrech lo chatati. You should know, there are two kinds of punishments. One punishment is for the actual sin. And the bigger punishment is for the nerve to say, I did not do anything wrong. I did nothing wrong. For that sentence, I did nothing wrong, you get a bigger punishment than the actual sin. You lit a cigarette on Shabbat, death penalty. Cut for the soul. Someone said, shame on you, you mechalel Shabbat. Don't tell me what to do, you don't know anything from your life. In the old days, it was hard to create fodder, you needed 2 rocks. It was a hard job. Today, you have a lighter, tack, the fire comes out. It's not breaking Shabbat. Oh, a new Rambam came to the world. These fools don't know that in the old days there was no electric. Every house needed light. So what did they do? In the walls of every house, they had little holes, a barrel of oil, and candles all over to give light to the house. They never had to create new fire. They have hundreds of lights. All they need when the barrel is about to end, put a new barrel, take from the existing fire, and light the new barrel. That's it. What do you think? They would take 2 rocks and wait 2 hours until they're going to have a spark of fire? You really think that people that stupid? Every time they need fire, they're going to create fire by rubbing rocks together? Once you have a fire, like in Yom Tov, we light from one candle to another. That's how they used to do it. Hundreds of lights. You need light. Remember, there's no light bulbs. How do you have light in the house? You need to read, you need to learn, you need to pray. They had candles, lots of fire all over around. That's what gave, at night, 9 p.m., what do? You're sitting in a cabin or in a tent. You need to have light. You always had fire. Plus, to warm you up, you had fire, pieces of wood in the winter. So we move on. So the other kinds of ger is ger tzedek. After we check them 100%, that they believe 100% in all 13 principles, all, not 12, not 11, all 13. Now we check, they know how to keep Shabbat, they know halachot. We don't expect the converts to be rabbis. We don't ask them all the laws of muktzeh and all kinds of complicated questions. No. Those questions most Jews also don't know. They don't learn seriously in yeshiva. They don't know. Well, we want them to know the major halachot. Woman needs to know how to dress modest at all time. Not to mess up here and there. No. And she has to know what's kosher, what's not kosher. Otherwise, she feed her family with non-kosher food. She has to know. She has to know the holidays. She has to know how to cook before Shabbat, after. All these things she needs to know. He needs to know halachot. He needs to know how to put tefillin. You want to be a Jew? Did you put tefillin? No. You don't know how to put? How tomorrow morning you're going to wake up as a Jew? We convert you today. Tomorrow morning you have to put tefillin. You don't even have tefillin. You need to know. Once we see they know and they're serious and they live close to a shul, Orthodox only. If it's not Orthodox, it's not a shul. It's a place of abomination. If it's a kosher Orthodox shul, we ask them to move there, to live next to there, to start practicing. Once the Beit Din is convinced that they are serious, you convert them to Judaism. From the minute you convert them, there's no return. They can't change their mind a month later. Oh, I didn't know it's going to be so tough. I thought Shabbat it's easy. Now when I'm a Jew, it's very tough. I used to pray very, very short. Now I come to shul, it's an hour every morning. It's too much for me. I want to go back to be a Gentile, a Noachide, a righteous Gentile. It was good, it was easy. There's no return. You went into the water a Gentile, you came out a Jew. A Jewish soul merged into your non-Jewish soul. That's what makes you from this moment on a new person, a brand new person, like a baby that was right now was born. You are 1 hour old. It's the first hour of your life, whether you're 30, 40, 50, or 90. How old are you? You're not 90. You're 1 hour old. After a week, how old are you? 1 week old. What happened until now doesn't exist anymore. That's it. You don't even see it in the file in history. You are a new person. The goy that you used to be, it's dead. It's gone. You have no relation to your relative. Your biological parents are not your parents. Your biological children are not your children. Your biological brothers and sisters are not considered your brothers and sisters. If your sister now will convert also, you're allowed to marry her. The Torah, the Chachamim, does not allow it. But let's say Chris and Christina, two brothers, they both come to convert. They went into the mikveh, same day. Chris, a minute later, his sister, Christine. Now they can get married. If they want it, they can get married. What do you mean? It's from the same seed, from the same father. Doesn't matter. It's two brand new people. Strangers. Of course, they're going to stay friends. After all, they grew up together and they have mutual parents. All of that stay the same. They respect their Gentile parents. They can never be ungrateful. Remember this. Ungratefulness, Hashem cannot stand. But the Chachamim, Chazal, forbid that. Forbid that. Do you know if a Jewish man married a non-Jewish woman? There's no such marriage, according to the Torah. But he went to some reform clown, and he made a ceremony. Yosef and Christina, and now they had a baby, a girl. 20 years later, this Yosef is now, when he married Christina, he was 21. She was 20. A year later, they had a baby. Let's call her Jennifer. Jennifer, 20 years later, realized she's not Jewish. Her father is Jewish. Maybe her last name is Cohen, but she's not Jewish. So she comes to the rabbi, I want to convert. You're going to keep Shabbat? Of course. Keep modesty? Of course. Eat kosher? Of course. I read Tehillim, I daven. I don't feel any connection to my non-Jewish family from my mother's side. I'm 100% Bukharian, or Persian, or whatever. That's it. I feel Jewish. Okay, no problem. They convert her. Now she's 20 years old. How old is her father? Yosef is 41. Right? He had her when he was 21. According to Hashem in the Torah, he can marry her that day. His own daughter. She's not his daughter. When you have a child from a non-Jewish woman, is 100% a non-Jew. There's no half-Jew, like some people in America. I'm half-Jewish. There's no such thing. Either when you were born, Hashem gave you a Jewish soul or a non-Jewish soul. If he gave you a Jewish soul, you're 100% Jewish. If he gave you a non-Jewish soul, you're 100% not Jewish. Be a righteous Gentile, but you're not Jewish. And it's not relevant what you feel. It's not relevant what you feel. He can be 100% Jew and he feels like he's some guy from Texas. Try to imitate them, be a cowboy. in the rodeo. He feel a guy from Texas playing a rock and roll band, is full of tattoos, speak like a guy, behave like a guy. Is 100% Jewish. It doesn't change the fact. It can be a guy that lives 100% like a Jew, religious. Come to shul, put tefillin, keep Shabbat, everything. It doesn't matter. He's not Jewish. The Chachamim, because they didn't want the world to have a big shock. How can it be that someone marries his own daughter or his own sister after she converted to Judaism? How can it be? The Chachamim made a decree that it's not allowed. But we don't care right now about that. We care what Hashem said. This is the answer to all those Jews who have children with not Jewish women. Thinking, it's my child, it has to be Jewish. No. If the wife is not Jewish, the kids are not Jewish. So, Rabotai, if they convert, Baruch Hashem, they consider Gerei Tzedek. If one day they stop keeping mitzvot, they are now Jewish secular people, and they are being punished for every commandment they don't keep, just like a Jew from birth. No discount. I didn't know Shabbat's going to be so hard, so I'm not keeping fully. Every time former Chris or Christine, that now is Jewish after the conversion, every time they will break Shabbat, they get the same punishment like someone that was born Jewish. Same punishment, no discount. That's why they ask them 10 times before they go into the water. You sure? Do you know if you break Shabbat, it's a death penalty? That's what they say in the Beit Din, moment before they immerse in the water. There's no return. Once you go in, that's it. It's not up to us anymore. We cannot cancel it. And you have to see how they cry. Almost all of them cry. Male, female. It's a very emotional moment. But sometimes, if you're not careful enough and you choose people that are not worthy, 6 months later you see them. What happened? It's too much for me. I can't live like that. It's too much for me. I'm used to my freedom. We asked you 10 times before. Nobody forced you to be Jewish. The opposite. We told you don't. Stay a righteous Gentile. We're not missionaries. We're not hunting people. We tell every goy, stay a goy. Just be a righteous goy. That's it. You have heaven when you die. After we begged them not to be Jewish, they did everything they can to be Jewish. And then, a few months later, they want to be a goyim again. There's no return. So far, you got the point? Let's move on. The Rambam continue. לכל הרוצה להתגייר משאר האומות, everyone from every nation that wants to convert, we will tell him, if he's serious, welcome. We will teach him what to do and accept him. If it's a male, we will circumcise him. If he was already circumcised in a hospital, we will take one tiny drop of blood, like they take, in a sugar test. Tack, one little thing, a little blood came, no pain, no nothing, and it's over. If it's a female, just go in and out of the water, after they pass the test, of course. Someone who does not want to convert, you don't force him to accept Torah and mitzvot. He's a non-Jew. The Torah belongs to the Jewish people. And this is what Moshe commanded us in the name of Hashem to obligate the Gentiles to keep the 7 laws of Noah only. Not Shabbat. The opposite. You're not allowed to keep Shabbat. I want to eat kosher food. You want to eat kosher food? Eat. You want to eat non-kosher food? Eat. You're allowed. I want to make tattoo. Make tattoo, you go, you're allowed. If you consider to become Jewish one day, you better don't make it. Why? You're going to have an embarrassment. You have children, they'll be religious, they'll see you, take off your shirt, you go to the pool. Dad, why you have this woman on your arm? Who is she? Oh, it's my girlfriend when I was your age. Imagine if he's on the left arm. He has to put tefillin of Hashem. He lifts his arm, we see a not modest girl on his arm. It happens to some people. In general, my personal opinion, regardless of religion, that making tattoos is one of the dumbest things in life. That's my opinion. It's forbidden, it's against the Torah. But even if it was not forbidden, I think personally that is very, very stupid. Almost as stupid as trying drugs to feel how it feels. It's just as stupid, almost. Because sometimes there's no return. You're willing to destroy your life. If you try it and physically you will like it or whatever, you're going to run after it. You're going to run after it, your life will be over. Same thing with the tattoos. I had once a guy, sending emails non-stop. I'm begging you, help me to convert. I keep already everything. I say, okay, you know what? Let's meet in person. I speak in Kew Garden over there, in Lefferts Boulevard, in a big shul. Come meet me over there. The guy came. I almost became blind. There's not 1 inch of his body that is not covered with tattoo. Fingers, arms, palms, face, neck, everywhere. Everywhere in the face. Who makes tattoos in the face? I asked him, wow, I see you didn't waste any time. We have hundreds of tattoos here. It's also very expensive. I asked him, I don't want to ask you what's under the shirt. If you don't mind, take a picture and send it to me with the email. What am I going to tell him? Take off your shirt now? I'm thinking, I see all these tattoos all over his face and his arms and everywhere and his hands. But I don't know what's on the back. I don't know. He sends me a picture. I see a big cross on his back with JC like this. Now imagine someone like this will convert to Judaism. He comes to the mikveh. The rabbis will get a heart attack. 3 rabbis will fall into the water with him. Instead of 1 in a mikveh, there will be 4. I told the guy, my heart is breaking for you, but my advice to you, you shouldn't convert. He said, why? I said, look at you. I mean, you're going to have Jewish kids. You're going to have to go pick them up from yeshiva. All the religious kids, they don't know. Kids don't know. They see you with all this. They're going to insult your kids. What? Your father is a goy. He's not Jewish. What is this? You're not a Jew. Why you came here to yeshiva? You know how kids are. They don't have tact. Every second of your life, you're going to go to the mikveh before Shabbat. Everyone will get the shock of their life. It's not 1 or 2 tattoos. And there's no way to remove it. The tattoos was the reason this guy didn't convert. Can you believe it? He was perfect for conversion. Very serious, very devoted. I just told him it's going to destroy your life. You're going to go on a date. You have a Jewish girl, let's say Ba'alat Shuvah. She likes you, you're a nice guy, you're nice looking. She see all of this. She's not going to agree to marry you. What are you going to do? I will decree on you to stay single for the rest of your life. And if you will marry an ex-Goya that is also full of tattoos, let's say, what kind of social life you're going to have with your kids, with the yeshivot, with the community, in a synagogue? People cannot understand what does it mean a Baal Tshuva. What he used to be and what he is now. People will always, if you give them a hint, what he used to be or what she used to be, that's all they're going to focus on. You know what it's like? You know how sometimes you come to a big hall and on the ceiling they have squares, stereophone. You know this material? You have hundreds of them, but one is missing. Everyone who comes to this room, what does he stare at? The missing square. The entire ceiling is full. One of them is missing. Everyone looks at the missing one, or the one that had a leak. Nobody looks at the perfect ceiling anywhere else. That's the nature of people. The Rambam continue. If people live in Israel, you force them to keep the 7 laws of Noah. If they refuse, they cannot stay in Israel. Needless to say, if they want to worship their idols as they used to, you do not permit it no matter what. Anyone who will not accept it and insist to stay in Israel doesn't want to leave. We don't have to run to China and force the Chinese to stop worshipping their idols, or in India, or in anywhere else in the world, because the Torah says, "Uvi'arta hara mikirbecha." You clean the bad from among you, your community. I don't have to fix the whole world. I don't have to go to the Arab countries and speak, it's against God to murder people. Stop with your terrorism and supporting terrorists. Stop with this. Stop killing Jews, stop killing Christians, and stop killing your own people. Stop with this. It's against the religion of the Gentiles. It's not my obligation. So that we can do it through YouTube. They listen anyway. They share. But I don't have an obligation to go to Syria and tell them, why you kill each other? It's against the Torah, it's against God. You're not supposed to murder each other. The same thing, I don't have to do it in Iraq or in Afghanistan or in any other country. I don't have to go to all the idol worshipping places, give them speeches about their idols. But if they live in the Holy Land, it's my obligation. The people in charge in Israel, the king or the government, must clean the idol worshipping and the abomination from the Holy Land. So, the Rambam continue. Everyone who accepts on himself to keep the 7 laws of Noah and carefully observe them, Hareze, he is or she Chasidei Umot HaOlam, the righteous Gentile of the nations of the world. They are very high level people. Very high level. Whether they are European, whether they are Arabs, whether they are Oriental, it's no difference. They keep the 7 laws, doesn't matter they're white, black, Asian, whatever they are, it's no difference whatsoever. The body, look, color, or anything like that does not add or decrease from their spiritual level whatsoever. Same thing among Jews. You're dark, you're light, you're blonde, color of your eye, none of that make you righteous or wicked. Only actions. And he has a share to the world to come. These Gentiles have, when they die, heaven of Gentiles. It's much better than the hell the wicked Jews will get. Much better. He fulfilled his mission in life, this God. When the Messiah would come, they will remain. They won't die. Wicked Jews and wicked Gentiles will be cleaned from the face of the earth. There's hundreds of verses and sources for it. Among the prophets and the Zohar, the Holy Zohar, the Kabbalah. That's not the topic now. But they will remain. They will see the Jews building the 3rd temple. There will be no anti-Semitism, no war, no armies, no weapon. All nations would live in peace. That's it. Everyone will know there's only one real religion. The religion of God is Judaism only. Everything that came later was all fake. Now everyone knows it. The righteous Gentiles will survive and the righteous Jews. Everybody knows it. No disagreement about that. So it's not open for debate. But the Rambam makes a comment, and it's very important to know. This is only on a condition that the Gentiles keep the 7 laws because it's the command of God. and not because it's logical to human logic. Why are you not a murderer? It's not ethical to murder. You believe in God? No. You believe in the soul? No. You believe in the afterlife? No. So why don't kill? It says you should not kill. I can care less what it says. I don't believe in the Torah, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in the Ten Commandments. I'm an atheist. So why you don't steal? Because it's not ethical. It has zero reward. Why you don't murder? Because it's not ethical. Why you don't bow down to this Buddha like the rest of your Goyim friends? Because it's stupid. Why it's stupid? Someone just made it in a factory yesterday. This is going to be my God? I don't believe in any God. Needless to say, a piece of metal. It doesn't get reward. Zero reward. It's not a righteous Gentile. Because that's common sense. You did nothing divine here. But if you do it because God said so, same thing Jews. Why don't you steal? Because it's not ethical. Society cannot tolerate thieves. That's not an act, there's not a noble act here. It's not a divine righteousness. It's only righteousness when you do it because Hashem said so. Do you get the point or no? Let me read to you the words of the Rambam. והוא שיקבל אותם ויעשה אותם מפני שציווה בהם הקדוש ברוך הוא בתורה. This is only that he keeps them and accepts them because Hashem commanded those 7 laws in his Torah and informed the world with his messenger Moses that the children of Noah, meaning all the Gentiles of the entire world, they are commanded to keep them by Hashem. But if he does it because it's required by common sense, and Zeger Toshav, he does not have the privilege to live in the Holy Land as a Ger Toshav, as a resident of Israel. No, because he's not a righteous Gentile. You send him back to a different place. Find yourself a place. You cannot stay in the land of God. Ve'eno michasidei umot haolam. He's not considered a righteous Gentile. This comment, most people don't know. I mean, most people heard about the 7 laws of Noah. But not everyone knows that if you keep them because anyway it's normal not to do it. Anyway, why don't you eat an animal unless they're dead first? Because I feel cruel if I eat a leopard or a lizard when it's still moving in a plate, or a mouse, like the Chinese do. Ugh, it's disgusting. How can you eat something that moves in a plate? How do you eat cockroaches? How do you eat worms? It's not normal. So you don't eat it, not because God said so to the Gentiles that are not allowed to do it. You do not do it because it's disgusting. It's no righteousness here. For instance, if a Chinese person will come and say, I used to eat animals that move in a plate. I heard a lecture and I realized that I'm a Gentile. If I want to be righteous, I have to keep the 7 laws. Although I love that very much, to eat all kinds of insects, I stopped to eat. Why? Not because it's not logical. In my culture, people eat it all the time. Millions eat it every day. Everywhere, in restaurants, in places, in weddings. Chinese people eat. But I don't eat anymore. Why? God said so. Say Gentiles are allowed to eat any animal they want as long as it's dead first. Not to eat it while they're still alive. That's it. Oh, so that's because of God? Yes, because of God. Oh, now you have 1 credit out of the 7. I hope you understand the concept. So there are 3 general rules that we learn here. 1, it's an obligation to every Jew to force all the Gentiles to keep the 7 laws of Noah. Where? When they live among us, here in Israel, in the land of Israel. To a resident of Israel and a ger tzedek, a convert, are 2 different things. If a Gentile wants to stay in Israel and promise to keep the 7 laws, does he have to come and declare it in a Jewish court, like the converts do? Converts has to come and declare that they accept all the commandments of the Torah in order for them to become Jewish. But if a Gentile just wants to remain to live in Israel, here, I got rid of my idols. I burned them. From now on, I keep only the 7 laws that you taught me. Come to the Beit Din and swear. No, you don't need to. Beit Din is not for them in this particular matter. It's enough that he declares that he's going to keep it, and we follow what he does. If we find he's a liar, we'll kick him out. As long as we see that he keeps them, that's it. We let him stay there. And the 3rd law here, all Gentiles must keep the 7 laws because God said so and not for logical reasons. The Rambam, in Halacha 9, this was the end of chapter 8. The next Halacha is Halacha 9, actually the one before. In Halacha Yud, this is what we just said. In the previous Halacha, the Rambam explained the laws in the Torah of a pretty Goya, Eshet Yefat Torah. The Torah says if you come to a war, you see a beautiful non-Jewish woman, you're far away from your home, from your country, and you like her. And you're not allowed to marry her unless she's converting first. But until you bring her to Israel and until she converts, it may take months. Now the Torah surrenders supposedly to your evil inclination. Gives you permission one time to be with her, to relax your desire. Then you bring her with you to the land. She shaves her head, she makes her hair long, she dresses like a prisoner, she cries for her family that she will never see. Basically, she does everything she can to look ugly in your eyes. And if after a month, after you see her with no hair, with long nails, by the way, from here, I hope there are some smart women out there that listens to this and get the point. From here you learn that according to God's opinion, not the fools in Facebook and Twitter, forget about these guys, according to your maker, to your creator, who supplies you with oxygen and health, who watch you non-stop 24/7, who gives you everything you have, or may not give you what you don't have. It's up to him. According to him, it's disgusting for a woman to shave her head, to have bald hair, like men has. For men, it's nice. It's manly. It's very much in style now to be bald. People with hair shave their head now. It's when I was a teenager, it was very much against the style. People went crazy to try to prevent them being bald. Today, even people that have hair don't care, they shave it. Why? It became in style. That's almost every Israeli is bald, you see. Even those who have hair. It's a matter of style. But regardless of this, for women it's against the law. If a woman shave her head, it's against the Torah. She's not allowed to do anything that looks like a man. And one other thing, if she makes her nail long like a witch, that's disgusting in the eyes of Hashem. Where does it say it? Hashem doesn't want this Jew to have intimacy with a non-Jewish woman. It's against his will. But you don't let go. Your desire, oh, I have to, I cannot fight. Oh, you have to? Let's take some steps to cool your desire. One, shave her head. Immediately you don't want to be with her. If you still want to be with a woman that looks like a man, no, Hashem Ya'azor. Wait until she have long, witchy nails. That should be enough disgusting for you not to want to be with her. Today it's the other way around. The longer it is, the more attractive it is for some fools out there. Not only that, they have all these rainbow stars. They pay hundreds of dollars to sit by the Chinese, Korean. How long would you like it? All the way from here to the door. But how are you going to be able to function? You know how sometimes you come to the office, longer, like, the nail is longer than the finger. If a man is attracted to it, it's a mental disease. Please go and check why. Something is not right with you. Why? It's not divine. It's filth. Any religious girl in yeshiva, you're going to see her with nails like this? God forbid. In a good yeshivot for girls, a girl like this will never be accepted. That's enough. Just nails like this. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. Don't say I said. Forget about it. My opinion doesn't count. I'm just telling you what Hashem said. You know this halacha, right? It's nothing new to you. Hashem said, I want her to cry a lot. From here you learn that a woman that cries too much, she doesn't look as good as she's supposed to. It makes her look not as good if she cries a lot. And if she makes long hair, it makes her ugly. And if she shave her hair, it makes her uglier. Maybe not ugly, but uglier than what she was before she shaved her head. That's written in the Torah of God, not in the Torah of any human being. So the Rambam now explains. The Rambam says, in Halacha Tet, how do you behave with Yefat Toar? You have this Gentile woman, or a city of Gentiles that refuse to accept the laws of Bnei Noach. They refuse. They want to remain idol worshippers. So I explained already. First priority, just leave. Go do whatever you want, but not here. No! You're not going to tell us what to do. We'll stay here and we worship our idols. Not cannot be. Why? God didn't give us an option. So they come to a war with you. In a war, you leave them one place to one, but you fight, and if they die, they die. The Rambam say, in the next chapters, how the Jews have to behave with the Gentiles in a time of a war. What happens if you have this Goya, you want to take her, you want to marry her, but she doesn't want to leave her idol. She bring little Buddha with her. You want to take me to Tel Aviv? You take my God with me. No, you're not allowed to throw it away. It's an idol. I didn't tell you to take me. I'm a prisoner here in a war. You like me, right? You want to take me to your country? You want me to marry you? You told me I have to shave my hair, I have to make long nails, I have to cry for my parents. I got that point. But I'm not letting JC live my life. I'm devoted to JC Penny or to little Booty. I'm not letting go. What do? You're allowed to take it or not? Not allowed. What about the desire? We have a big conflict here. Why the Torah compromised on a wicked person with a weak character desire, because the Gemara say, because Hashem knew that in a time of war, with sadness and loneliness and agony, and if he fall in love with some Goya who smiles to him, save me from this hell, meaning she's a prisoner of war now, and she gives him all these smiles, he would lose his mind. So for only one time, I allow you this horrible sin. Right? Why? Because you would do it anyway, with or without me. I know the psychology of a man. But what happens if she's holding to an idol? We already have an example of Jews who went to the Goyot, who forced them to bow down to their idols. Who? Bnot Moav. How many Jews died because of that? 24,000 Jews died for bowing down to their idol. He went like this, and Hashem wiped them out. 24,000 in one shot. If you bow down to a rabbi, it's the same bed. Rabbi, idol, doesn't matter. Anyone that is not God, you bow down to it, or to him, or to her, or it doesn't matter, or to a picture. That's 100% Avodah Zarah. It doesn't matter how righteous he is. Even if it was Moshe Rabbeinu. Why Hashem did not tell us where Moshe is buried? The whole world would worship him. If people worship rabbis who live in our generation, that they are not 1 billionth of the level of Moshe Rabbeinu. Not 1 billionth. Anyone doesn't reach 1 billionth of the level of Moshe, who spoke to Hashem and gave us the Torah, and the Torah is named after him. If people worship holy rabbis who lived in our days and they became their God, do you know what would happen to the world if they knew the grave of Moshe? Do you know what would be over there? People will kill each other in a line there to touch the grave. Hashem made sure no one will know where the grave of Moshe is. No one knows. These 3 general rules that we just mentioned is coming from the Torah, who was given to the Jewish nation. It wasn't given to the Goyim. It was given to the Jewish people. So, from here we learn that it's the obligation of the Jewish people to teach all the Gentiles in the world about their obligation to God. We must teach them not to be idol worshippers. We must teach them not to be thieves, not to be murderers, to believe in one God, not to eat animals unless they dead first, to establish a justice system in every place where they live with police and court. They make the laws of the land. Not to be idol worshippers, as we said. Of course, no sex crimes with the relatives, or homosexuality, or any intimacy with animals, which is also death penalty for them. It doesn't take more than half an hour for a Jew to teach a Gentile the 7 laws of Noah. Today, when people ask me, I say, just Google it. Google it, you'll find everything. Right? Wasting time. Let him Google the 7 laws of Noah. Immediately gets with explanation in any language. You know how Google recognizes what country you're asking. So if you're in Israel, they will answer you in Hebrew. If you're in Thailand, they'll answer you in Thai. No matter what country you are, the Google change according to where you are. So fantastic. You ask in your language, you get an answer in your language. Today it's very easy. The Jews don't have to do it anymore. They only have to tell the Gentile that there is such a concept, like we just did. You want to find out about it? Google it. Rabbi Google will teach you. Rabbi Google. But in the old days, when there was no Rabbi Google, Jews had to tell the Gentiles, every place where the Jews live, to tell the Goyim over there what's their obligation from the Torah. The Gemara says one of the reasons why Hashem scattered the Jews in all the nations is to multiply the number of converts, to teach the Goyim about the Torah. And many of them would like to convert to Judaism. Who? How come one brother wants to convert, Tony, and his brother Vinny doesn't? One decides to convert to Judaism, and the other one decided to stay righteous Gentile. Both of them heard the same rabbi, the same lectures. They watched the same Torah and science film. How come one wants to convert and the other one said, just let me stay righteous Gentiles and I'm a Gentile and I'm happy? What's behind that decision? The Holy Zohar says, the Kabbalah, that every Gentile who wanted to convert to Judaism when the Jews got the Torah, Hashem asked all the Goyim in all over the world, would you like to accept my Torah? And they made a vote. And they voted against it. The majority did not want to get the Torah. What about the minority? They wanted, but they couldn't. They were forced not to accept it. Every one of them is not deprived, is not neglected. Hashem reincarnated his soul in future generations, in a right place, in a right time, where Jews can show them what does it mean to be Jewish. Or in today's technology, that they will go into the right website and see what Judaism is about and what does it mean Torah. And they have now the right to convert what they wanted to do in the time when we got the Torah and they couldn't. Now they have a special help from Hashem to convert. That's why Tony wants and Vinny doesn't. Vinny, in a time when the Jews got the Torah, was one that voted not to accept it. He has no merit, no siyata dishmaya to be a Jew. If he's lucky, he's going to be a righteous Gentile. But his brother is the soul of a goy that wanted to convert. That's why sometimes you don't find logic here. No logic. All of a sudden a goy, white, black, oriental, doesn't really matter. Out of nowhere, I feel like I'm a Jew. What do you mean you feel like a Jew? I don't know. From a young age, I went to school, I went to the library, I'm looking for everything Jewish. There is in college a course about Judaism, that's the first thing I join. Where does it come from? I get emails like this from all over the world every week. Goyim that feels like they are attracted very much to Judaism. There are two answers for that. One is there are reincarnations of righteous Gentiles who wanted to convert and they couldn't. There's another reason. Some of them are actually Jewish already. They just don't know it. Some Ukrainian Goya. Her grandmother, her mother's mother, or the mother of her mother, meaning she was Jewish. And the grandmother doesn't know about it anymore. And the mother doesn't know, and she doesn't know. But she thinks she's 100% Christian. They took her to church, everything. But she has a Jewish soul. But nobody ever told her that. The question the Rambam asks, why the Jews are obligated to force the Gentiles to keep the 7 laws of Noah? Jews are obligated to rebuke their brothers. Ocheach tochiach et amitecha. So a brother from your nation, you are obligated to rebuke him, to prevent him from committing sins against Hashem. But where does it say that you have to rebuke someone that is not your brother? Some Arab from Saudi Arabia. What do I have to do with him? Or some Chinese from China? How would all of a sudden become my obligation to teach him his obligation in life? Logically, we would say, how else would he learn? Who's going to teach him that? He didn't get Torah. So, if you would come and say what you say, don't worry, they'll teach each other. You teach 20, 30 of them, they'll teach thousands. The thousands will teach tens of thousands, and then they'll teach million. That's what King Solomon did in his days. He took the princesses from all the countries, taught them about the principle of the Torah, and sent them back. It was the best time in the history of the world. Most people believed in one God 3,000 years ago. Millions of people wanted to convert to Judaism in the time of King Solomon. If today King Solomon lived, he didn't need that. He would open a Facebook page. That's it. You put some of his videos, smartest person ever lived. The Goyim would stand 5 million a day to come to convert in the time of King Solomon. He wouldn't need to marry 1,000 women and send them back to their countries to teach Torah. He would do it online. He wouldn't even have to pay thousands of dollars or shekels to promote. I made 3 months ago a film in Hebrew about Shabbat. In Hebrew. How many Hebrew speakers do you have in the world? What? 15 million maybe? Not even. Forget about what 15, not even 10 million. People that speak Hebrew. You have 15 million Jews in the whole world. At least half of the Jews don't speak Hebrew. Jews from Europe, from Germany, from Russia, from America, they don't speak Hebrew. So maybe 7, 8 million Jews speak Hebrew. So when you make a film about Shabbat and you post it on Facebook, what's the expectation? How many people will watch it? If you have 7 million potential people that can watch it, the rest don't speak Hebrew, right? Someone who's a German, what does he need to watch a film in Hebrew? Or American? He doesn't understand. So what's the potential? You know how many people watched it? How many views we had in 2.5 months? 1 million views. 1 million views. You can go on Facebook. It's called Mekor HaBracha. Mem Kuf Vav Resh. Second word, Habracha. Hey, Bet, Resh, Chaf, Hey. Why we didn't call it Shabbat? No one would want to watch it. All the Mechalelei Shabbat say, I heard enough. I don't want to feel guilty. So we called it in Hebrew the source of blessing. Source of blessing, everyone wants to know what it is. Wow, it's a good gimmick. Gimmick. Makor HaBracha. 1 million views. Why we got to 1 million views? Other lectures don't get to 1 million views. Not even half of it. Because we paid money to Facebook to promote it. How much? 22,000 shekel altogether. $6,500. You do the math. 6,500 got you 1 million views that watched almost an hour film with all the killers, sources about what does it mean to be Mechalel Shabbat. Do you know how many of them now are Shomer Shabbat? That means each dollar exposed the film to more than 130 viewers for $1. It's less than a penny a person. If you could throw pennies in the streets, thousands of them, every hour, and each person will catch it and will watch the film. That's what you have to do for the rest of your life. Take all your millions and just do it. Why? You're creating hundreds of new Baalei Tshuva every day. Every day. 500, 700, 1,000, and tons of them. Why? They want money. If we wouldn't pay, we'll probably have 50,000 views. That's it. Best case scenario. They limit. They don't let it go to all the people on the page. Because I have more than 200,000 people on my Facebook pages. If every one of them is on a page would see it, I don't need their promotion. 200,000 will watch it, few of them will share it, and few other will share it. We'll go to 1 million for free, but they don't let. In the beginning, they let. Every post we made went to who knows how many. Now it's very limited. You don't pay, we're not going to let people watch. So in the end, it all comes down to one lousy thing, money. The more money Kiruv get, the more souls we save for eternity. It's breaking the heart, knowing there are so many rich Jews out there, and they don't care. They just don't care. I just went now before I came here, to say Mazal Tov, an engagement, a family that I had the zchut to make them Baalei Tshuva. And the family of the Chatan, I also have the zchut to make all of them Baalei Tshuva. And then someone introduced the Bachur Yeshiva. He learns in Rabbi Rubin's in Great Neck, the Bachur, very serious Ben Torah. And the girl already grew up religious, because her parents were already Baalei Tshuva before she was born. Great shidduch. Two Bukharians, serious learner, serious girl, very, very good, mamash good ashkafa, very, very righteous. I went to say Mazal Tov there in Chevy Chase over there, in that big shul. I even was able to eat good today without worry. Why? One of my Baalei Tshuva is the Mashgiach there, Yitzchak Bonan, Rav Yitzchak Bonan. Strict. He won't let you eat something, he won't be very careful not to eat himself. You know, it's wonderful. You come, you don't have to check every little thing, where the meat from, where this from, where the leather's from, where this one, where is that. Oh, you in charge? Can eat without worry. It's great, Mashgiach here in Queens. Learn Torah all day. He was in my Gemara class almost 20 years ago, in Yeshiva in Fonsi. Now you see, 20 years later, he came to me as a Bachur. Now he has 4 kids. His wife is a teacher in Yeshiva here for kids. Build a beautiful home. Right there, between the Chatan and the Kala and the family of the Mashgiach, right there you have more than 30, 40 people. Right there. Those people are all of them mamash beautiful tzaddikim. Who made them what they are? Everyone was donated to Kiruv for the last 20 years. When they come to Shamayim, Hashem says, see this Chatuna? It's yours. You see this Mashgiach and his children in Talmudei Torah? What beautiful kids. It's yours. You see how many people don't eat trefot and how it's kosher, strictly kosher, many events thanks to him? It's yours. That's what people don't get. They burn money on such shtuyot. Rabbi, I'm buying a boat. We want to move to Miami. No, beseder. How much is the boat? Over $1 million. What are you going to do with this boat? Sit there, here and there? Sit in a boat. No, with $1 million, we make 200,000 Baalei Tshuva. And how much a boat costs to maintain it? So you go on a boat. So once in a while you rent a boat, if that makes you so happy. People burn their life on shtuyot. Don't ever forget the scene in Schindler's List movie. How Oscar Schindler, the guy, in the end, that everyone complimented him for saving so many Jews, giving money to the Nazis not to kill the Jews, that he should hire them. His intention was to save their life. In the end, he started to scream, I'm nothing. This watch could have saved 10 more Jews. And this one should have saved another 50 Jews. And this car could save another 300. I don't know the exact numbers. You can see that. Before everything finished, he felt guilty. He saved hundreds of Jews from murder. But he felt that he is guilty for all those who died. That he could have saved much more if he would give up his Swiss watch. And if he would give up that car, and if he would give up this suit. Started to say, what is this? Life of 20 more families. What is this watch? Another 10 people. What is this car? Another 50 people. What did it help me, all these things? I could have saved a few more hundreds. Hundreds would become tens of thousands. I don't know if you saw that video that someone saved one Jew, And now they show a picture that he has more than 100 religious people. And they brought that goy to Israel, I think a year ago. I don't know if you saw it. It's an unbelievable video. You cannot stop crying. They brought some goy that saved the Jew, and now this Jew became 1,000 religious people. And the goy, his eyes came out. It's all thanks to you. The goy was crying. The people were crying. And this is only technically saving bodies. They could have been secular, these people. Saving souls, 1 trillion times more important. I want to just finish. The first lecture, I've spoken some other things that not relates directly to the series, but on the next lectures I'll be more focused on the topic only. We always need to get the background first. So the Rambam, just to answer his questions, and we'll finish here. So the Rambam says, so why Hashem gave the Jews this obligation to rebuke the Goyim and teach them about the 7 laws? And to teach them that it's not enough that you do it because you're decent Gentiles, because you have manners. That's why you don't steal and that's why you don't kill. Because we have to teach you, they have to aim in your mind that you do it because of God's word. And they would never know it without the Jews. And this is the way Hashem designed it. There's big arguments about it. The Ramban, the Ritba, the Rambam, many of Gdolei Israel argue about the answer to this question. The Gemara says, where Baba Kama, page 38. Also in Avodah Zarah, in the first page. 2 Gemarot discuss this. Amad ve'imoded eretz ra ve'iter goim. Hashem measured the land, the earth, and allow the Gentiles to multiply and to live. ראה הקדוש ברוך הוא 7 מצוות שקיבלו עליהם בני נוח. Hashem saw the Gentiles that keeping the 7 laws. The Gemara says, לומר שאפילו מקיימים אותם, אין מקבלים עליהם שכר כמצווה ועושה. If they keep it without knowing that it's mitzvah for them, not because God say it, they get a reward like someone does something without knowing is a mitzvah. With no intention. But if he does it with the intention, I am now intending to do the will of God, that's a whole different league, a whole different category. So what does the Rambam means over here? 6 of the 7 laws were given to Adam already. Before Noah, Adam already had 6 laws to teach his children. The 7th one was added to Noah and repeated with the other 6 after the flood. Do not eat animals unless they're dead. Ever min achai. This was not a problem before the flood. The flood was 4,200 years ago. All the people in the world died. The world restarted from Noah and his 3 sons and their wives. 8 people started a new world. Everyone was a Gentile. There's no Judaism yet. 4,200 years. It's 900 years before the Torah was given. So Hashem restarted the world and restarted the laws of Noah with addition of one more commandment. Meaning the people that used to keep the 6 laws, they are gone, if there were any. Probably no one did. If Hashem wiped them all out, okay. So the obligation now is from Adam or from Noah. If a Gentile keeps it now, this obligation is the same obligation that God gave to Adam, or it really started all fresh from the time of Noah? Do you hear the question or no? The answer, it's the same obligation from Adam. Once God makes an obligation, a command, that's it. Nobody can cancel it. Just because the people died, the obligation remains. However, it was repeated for the people to be educated in it. The Rambam says, after the temple was destroyed, do we still have the obligation of keeping ger toshav? If the Goyim wants to stay in Israel and to be righteous Gentile and no idol worshipping, do we have an obligation to keep them today? We don't have Bet HaMikdash today. We don't have the temple. The answer is no. We don't have a kingdom in Israel. You may say, but we have the state of Israel. But the state of Israel is not an obligation from the Torah to have a state. Jews can live in Israel as long as they keep Torah mitzvot. But the state of Israel, is that a righteous state or a state that does everything they can to go against God? Is it a righteous state? The government of Israel, they go out of their way to spread Torah? No, they do everything they can to eliminate Torah. Are they pro-synagogues? No, they do everything they can not to let synagogue open. Are they pro-Shabbat, or they want public transportation and stores and malls? They force stores to open on Shabbat, and if not, you get a fine. They are anti-Shabbat. Are they pro-kosher food? No, they want to give everyone permission to make any certificate they want and sell any food they want. Are they pro-Judaism? Are they anti-intermarriage? Are they against assimilation? The exact opposite. They do everything they can to turn all Israelis to Goyim. They promoting intermarriage. They do everything they can to make it legal. If a Jew marry a non-Jew, they give the non-Jew rights like he's a Jew. They don't care that the children are not Jewish. According to them, he's Jewish. I was sued for saying the prime minister is a Goy, which he is a Goy. But I lost. Why I lost? Because the judge is a liberal Rasha Merusha, like Bernie Sanders. He cares about what God thinks. For me, he's a Jew. You're going to tell me that he's not. I teach Torah, you're not teaching Torah. We make the rules here. It's not a religious state. There's nothing you can do about it. If a man and a man wants to get married, they very much like it. We give you rights. You can inherit your husband, Itzik. You and your husband will have rights. We give you social security, everything. They promote abomination. If you want to stop abomination parades, you're gonna go to jail. If you demonstrate against it, the Israeli Shabbat, Secret Service, come to your house, confiscate your computer and your phones. You can even get arrested. Why? Because you're anti-abomination. Bottom line, from the minute Israel became a state, they do everything they can to go against God. And then they wonder, where was God in October 7? That's what they ask. Where was he? When there was a party on Shabbat, Simchat Torah, everyone naked, drugs, alcohol, men, women, everyone naked, big Buddha, huge statues there, dancing with the Goyish music on Shabbat. Instead of dancing with the Torah, dancing around an idol. Then come monster Nazis to shoot them, and they ask, where was God? Where were you for decades? Where were you for creating such people? For people that hate Torah, people that hate rabbis, people that hate yeshivot, people who arrest rabbis, take them to interrogations, threatening them, taking information from the computer. If you say something we don't like, remember, we got you. We watch everything you say and everything you don't say. That's the land of God? Absolutely not. That's why Rav Yoel Misatmer Zatzal already predicted all of that 80 years ago, before the Israeli state. He already knew where this Zionist, communist, anti-God movement would lead us to. He saw their ideology. Today it explodes in our face. That's it. Now the question is, and I'm finishing here, the question here, what can be done right now? They went, they fought like Goyim, they got weapons, they fought the Arabs, they kicked the Brits out. Now we have a state. We build thousands of buildings, companies, high-tech, army. No, we have a state, an advanced state. The question is, this state is blessed in the eyes of God, or it's a pity? Hashem is proud of the state, or is upset every moment? You may say, everything there is wicked. All the laws are wicked, laws of Sodom. Everyone there is allergic to Torah. Abomination everywhere. People that learn Torah are despicable in the eyes of these communists. They hate Torah learners. They hate them. They want them dead. They're not hiding it. On the other hand, there are 150,000 people that sit and learn Torah all day. For sure, Hashem has mixed feelings here. When he looks at some neighborhoods in Yerushalayim, it gives him a lot of joy. When he sees the abomination parade in Tel Aviv, he's disgusted. So how does he feel? Right? Good question or no? You're welcome to send me answers. Mizrachi@gmail.com. Next week I will start with this if you remind me. We'll get into that a little further. I say that for years. I say that when people didn't understand what I say. Today everybody understands what I say. But 20 years ago when I said that, people told me, what are you talking about? The Supreme Court is the biggest enemy of the Jewish history? I said it 20 years ago. Now everybody sees what I said. It was so obvious. I'm not somebody that invented that. I mean, much greater people before me already say it. They already saw it coming. I only learned from them, and it brought my attention to see how much they hate Torah. The president of the Israeli Supreme Court never said one time in his life, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, until he was 90. This wicked lowlife, Aaron Barak, Shem Reshaim Yirkav. He didn't know how to say Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. He never held tefillin in his life, 90 years. The head of the Israeli Supreme Court. And he made hundreds of rulings against Torah. Against Torah, against yeshivot, against Judaism. Hundreds of rulings. And now he admits he has no idea what Judaism is. Such a corrupted judge. How can you rule in a subject you have no idea what it is? Always negative, against. What's going on here? I can be a judge in the high-tech industry? No. If two companies would argue with me about patent that they have, I cannot be a judge. I don't know anything about high-tech. Imagine 40 years I'm a judge in high-tech and I force people to do what I want and I have no idea what high-tech is. Can you find a bigger despicable criminal more than me? How do you push your nose into something you don't know what it is, bichlal? You have no idea. You don't know how to say Shema Yisrael. You don't know how to say Baruch Atah Hashem she'akol niya bidvaro. You don't know. How do you rule in Jewish religious subject? How do you decide who is Jewish and who is not when you don't know one verse in Judaism to say? Every Arab construction worker knows more Judaism than you, Arabs. And you want to rule in Judaism? And he said in an interview, unfortunately, I don't have any knowledge in Judaism. Nothing. Didn't know how to reach my Israel. He's not the only one. Other judges are just as bad. 15 lowlifes sitting there fighting Hashem, do not know what the Torah is. Never read one page in the Torah. Such ignorant people, clowns. Something like this would happen in America. A judge wants to rule against the New Testament. Right away, they'll ask him, do you know Christianity? Never heard about it in my life. How you push your nose to decide if Catholic is right or Protestant is right? How do you want to rule if you never read the book once in your life? It will be the joke of the town. Joke of the town. There are things that are even worse than that. So the question is, what does Hashem think about us? Is he stuck with us because we forced him? And he has to defend his children. He doesn't want a Holocaust in the Holy Land with millions are dead. But he keeps punishing us every day, as we see. Or he's very happy. Why? There's a lot of good things also in Israel. Chesed, Gmachim, Yeshivot, Torah. Almost 2 million people keep Shabbat. Synagogues, people sing, read Tehillim, kids come with their parents, they learn. Very, very big dilemma. You have a son, helps you, respects you. On the other hand, steal from you, doing drugs, you don't know what to do. Should I like this guy? Should I hate this guy? What's going on here? 1 minute he's an angel, and a minute later he's the angel of death. We as people, if someone will do 90% good to us and 10% bad, we can look at them. We will hate them very much. If someone will prove to you that they do 90% good, they save you, they help you, you made tons of money thanks to them. So once in a while they insult you. Once in a while they make you lose some. But overall they help you a lot more than they damage you. It doesn't matter, I can look at him. Why? Remember what I told you about the ceiling? The entire ceiling is perfect. One piece is missing, that's all you see. The negative. But Hashem is not like that. He's very calculated. He can put on a scale the situation in Israel, see all the Torah, see all the good, see all the horrible things that happen, and the scale can turn into the positive side. You understand what I'm saying or no? Remind me next Monday, we'll start with this. Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen ואמן. רבי חנניה בן הקשיא אומר, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל